Hello marketers, in this video we are going to discuss about the GA4 filters, kind of filters that can we apply on our data that we create in our Google Analytics. So we can apply different kinds of filters. So filters is to filter the data that we would like to include into our reports, or the data we would like to collect, or the data we can include or exclude through using these filters. So these filters do not work retroactively because this will be affected to the data once these filters are created and applied to our actual data. So it's very important to test the filters before you apply them to your actual property or the stream. You need to test them in a test property or in a testing phase that's available in the real time. We are going to do it right now, and we have a limit of applying 10 filters on any reports, and we can create 10 filters that could be applied on the reports. And there are different kinds of filters. One is the developer traffic filter that is used for the debug mode. So we visit our site for several times during the development phase, like checking the events or the tags that we created and whether they are firing well or not. And all this could be included in the Google Analytics general data. So if we would like to exclude this debug mode data from our actual data, we can then create a filter that could exclude this. And we have an option to create these filters using the developer traffic. And I'm going to show you right now how to use this debug traffic filter and get to the analytics phase and into the admin section. We have the data streams, and then the more tagging settings. So here we have the internal traffic filter. That's the other kind of filter type. As we have mentioned here, we have the internal traffic that would exclude the traffic or include the traffic from the employees or the service providers or the suppliers who would be visiting a site. And this data could be excluded or included into a separate section by using these filters. So that's the phase where we have the internet traffic, and right now we are searching for the developer traffic filter. So it's in the data settings, data filter, and here we have the debug traffic. So this can be created. Actually, I've already created this. If we would like to create this again, I'm just deactivating this filter, or I can create a filter over here. And here we have the two filter types, the developer traffic and internal traffic. So these are the filter types that are being provided by GA4 for our convenience. So developer traffic would filter all the data or the event data from the development devices. So you can mention the data filter name as the developer traffic, and then you can mention the filter operation to be exclude or include. So here we have also discussed this as there are types of filters. So there are other type of filters that are categorized based upon the filter operation that is performed, that is either to include the filters or exclude the filters. So we are going to discuss it right now over here. This is the filter operation we have mentioned there while categorizing the filters, that is whether exclude or include. So I'm going to use the include only filter, and these are the filter states. It's a testing, active or the inactive. So if you can see here, we have the filter modes called the testing, inactive and active. So these are the different phases of the filter. So as I've already mentioned, these filters do not work retroactively. So we should be very careful while we implement these filters on a property or the data streams, so that once we test it and then we can make them active, and when the filters are not needed, we can also make it inactive. So these are the modes that are available here. So right now I'm in the testing phase. I'm testing this filter. So I have created the developer traffic, include only and testing. So let us create this filter. So it says the data filter is already created just because just now I have created this one. We have the developer traffic. See, this is inactive, and we have the developer traffic that we have created. Developer traffic and include is the operation, and it's in the testing phase. So now let us check it in the real time reports. So before checking that, I'm going to debug mode and check that in analytics whether it's recognized into that filter or not. Yeah, now I'm in the debug mode and let us see over here. I'm going to apply one filter that I have created, and for that we should use, as it is in the testing phase, we can use this dimension which is being provided by GA4 to test the filters, and we can mention the select the dimension value as, sorry, let me refresh this once and see if the new one is updated here. So this is the place or the way to test our filters. So here we can include the dimension test. And then we have the dimension values as the developer traffic. So this is a new filter which we have created. Okay. And include, and we are going to include the developer traffic or the debug traffic into this filter, and I'm applying this on the data. And if you can see here, we have several operations to be performed here. So we have this data filter applied now, and then here it shows that this data or this user is coming from the debug mode. So we have used this filter to filter the data that comes from the users who are in the debug mode, and this data would be filtered from our analytics data. So once the testing phase is fine, then we can get back to the same section where we created it and change the filter mode to active. So here we have the data settings and the data filters, and this is a developer traffic, and here we can activate the filter, or if in case if this filter is not needed, we can also deactivate the filter. So this is how the developer traffic filter is used. And then let us see the internal traffic, that is the filter that would include or exclude the traffic from the employees or the suppliers or any service providers by just mentioning the IP addresses of their systems. So that could be created on a different way. Let us go to the setup assistant, and here we have the tag installation. And let's go to the web, and here we have this, and then we have the more tagging sections. And here we can define our internal traffic that we need to add it in the internal traffic filters. So by default, GA4 defines this internal traffic we define under an attribute named traffic underscore type and its value to be internal. But for that to be done, we need to first initially set up the internal traffic rules. So the rule name might be internal traffic. And as I have mentioned, this traffic underscore type value should be internal, as this is being used by GA4 to use it in the filters. And here we need to mention our IP address. So IP address equals, and we can mention the IP address. For this we need to get a public IP address. So we use the what's my IP. So this is my IP, and just copy this and paste it in your IP address equals this. And if you like to add range of IP addresses, then you can use the CIDR notation, that is a range of IP addresses. And then if you can see a sample value of that, a range of IP addresses in this way, or you can maintain begins with or contains, and these are all the match types available. Right now I'm using the IP address equal, so that I want this filter to use internal traffic rule as my IP address to be excluded. And I'm just mentioning my IP address, and we can add any number of conditions over here. Or in case if we can also see here in what's my IP. So this is what we did before. So we got IP, and now I'm creating this internal traffic rule. And this created internal traffic rule, and remember the rule name This we are going to use it when we create the filter. So now we have created the internal traffic rules, and now we are going to create the filter. It's the internal traffic filter. We have to go to the data settings, data filters, and then we have here the internal traffic. So we name the data filter name as the same internal traffic rule which we have given, the internal traffic, and the filter operation is to exclude the internal traffic and filter the events. And here we need to mention the parameter name traffic underscore type as we have given in the filter rules. It should be internal. So and it's on the testing phase. So right now we are going to test this and saving this. And now let me go to the real-time reports. I'm in real-time reports now, and I'm going to apply a new data filter that I have created right now. And let me go to the website. So I'm the internal traffic that I have defined and I'm on the website. So let us see whether the data is being filtered or not. So for that we can check those at comparison and include the dimension as it is in testing phase. You can use this dimension test data filter name and the dimension value is the internal traffic. Okay. And I'm going to apply this. So here we have one user from the internal traffic. So we have this data that mentions that the filter is being working. So it's very much suggested to you do the data filters once tested and then launch them into your actual data analysis because these do not work retroactively. So once the filters are applied from that stage, it will be applied to the entire data and cannot be remodified. So it's very useful and also very risky. So use it with a lot of attention. Thank you.